Hey, man. Thanks for stopping by again, and welcome to video number 2 in what I hope is going to be like a regular thing, maybe like a weekly thing where you and I get to hang out. And I'll show you something on the pad, or I'll show you something around the studio, and I'll answer some questions, and we'll just talk about something. So that thing I was doing right there, that's not the one I intended to play when I started playing, but that's the one that fell out of my hands. So another great warm-up, another great way to use some rudiments and play something that's musical that you can in some way use behind the drums. This one is just Flam accents. So if you don't know what a Flam accent is, it's basically just think triplets, like right, left, right, left, right, left, right, left, right, left, right, left. But you're flamming that first note with a little bit of an accent on it. So phrasing it that way, it's like triplets. 1 ta ta, 2 ta ta, 3 ta ta, 4 ta ta, 1 ta 2 ta ta, 3 ta ta, 4 ta ta. But I'm going to phrase it as if it's 16th notes, like 1 E and a 2 E and a 3 E and a 4. And when we get to 4, we're going to play a Flam paradiddle. It's exactly what the name says. It's a paradiddle, but we flam that accent and note. Some people call it a flamadiddle. Flam paradiddle, flamadiddle, doesn't matter. It's the exact same thing. So the idea here is, again, we're phrasing across the beat. And one of the things that I share with my students all the time is one of the ways you can make your play more interesting instantly is to not square everything off to the beat so that each idea begins and ends with each quarter note. So in this case, we're doing sort of a 3/4 feel for the first 3 beats. We do 4 cycles of that rudiment. You hear the recycling truck outside? You can't hear that in the main studio, but sitting mirrored next to the door, you probably hear that recycle truck. Anyway, so that gets us 1 E and a 2 E and a 3 E and a. And then when we get to the 4th beat, paradiddle or flamadiddle, that throws over to the left side. Anytime you're working on this stuff, make sure you work on your left hand lead and your right hand lead. Work on phrasing where you start with the left hand, so that not everything always starts with the right hand. It took me at least 15 years of playing, from the time that I was about 14 to I was almost 30, to really realize that I should spend equal amounts of time on both sides of the house, basically. So when you flip it around, 1 E and a 2 E and a 3 E and a 4 E and a. There you go. There you go. All right, so questions. Let's get to the questions. All right. I love starting with these questions because they come from my friends, and they are meant to keep me in check. What's it like being the Brian Stevens and having people like David Zettler and Paul Zettler follow you so closely? You can probably guess who that came from. Well, Suzanne, what is it like being the Brian Stevens? It's awesome. It's absolutely awesome. Every day is awesome. I love my life, and I love the fact that I got to be born and be the Brian Stevens. The fact that longtime friends like David Zettler, who's one of the coolest people that I know, I did an interview with him for my Dial a Drummer podcast. You just go to dialadrummer.com. You'll find it. He's one of the funniest people I know, and he's 10 times as funny when his brother Paul shows up. The fact that cool guys like that would pay attention to anything I do is the most, I don't even have words for it. Like, I appreciate it so much, and I love those guys so much, and it's an honor. I think honor is not it's not a word that I use a lot. There's a lot of weight that goes with the word honor. It's an honor. But it brings up an interesting idea that is not the question you asked, but it is something that I do want to address. So, the Brian Stevens. What's so important about that? it differentiates me. I mean, you'll see it on some of my social profiles, and I put it there on purpose because, I mean, Brian Stevens as a name is pretty common. There are a lot of Brian Stevenses. At one point when Facebook first got started, I remember that I was getting friend requests from all kinds of dudes named Brian Stevens. Like, we had this little club going where we got to sort of get to know each other. Like, you know, one Brian Stevens is an x-ray tech, another guy drives a truck, and the only other musician Brian Stevens that I ever met, at least back then, was a guitar player, like a guitar player singer guy. And so anyway, so at a certain point, I definitely was very conscious about putting the Brian Stevens for this idea of branding. And if anybody pays attention to the stuff that I do, then obviously the branding works. But it raises the question about what is branding and why is it important. I had someone tell me a very long time ago when I started my career here in Atlanta, giving that part away, when I started putting a website together and started hanging a shingle out and really trying to sell what I do as a service, I had a drummer who doesn't really spend a lot of time around me now because I choose not to spend a lot of time around him. Still loves the guy. But he basically called me to task one day, like, what's with having this website, brianstevens.com, and all these business cards and all this marketing sales that you're doing. Man, all you need to do to build a career is to just play really good and be cool. If you can do those two things, you'll have a career. Maybe at the time, in the late 90s, maybe that was the thing. Maybe that's the thing in this town. I don't know. I know that's important. You want to play well and you want to be cool. I mean, whatever that means. You want to be fun to hang around with. Is that what cool is? I guess I'm not cool, so I don't know. But more importantly, I'm constantly looking to grow my network of people that I know that need the services that I offer. And whether it's the drumming stuff or the engineering, mixing, producing, going out and playing gigs as a drummer is a very different kind of service than going here in the studio or going to any other studio and doing drum tracks for someone. And my hope is that I don't always just work for the same 15 or 20 people that I first met when I started doing this. In fact, a lot of the people that I started out working for 30 years ago, almost 30 years ago when I got here to Atlanta, some of those people aren't even in the music business anymore. Some of them retired. Some of them have phased out. Hear my dogs up there. I think the Amazon guy just showed up. Some of those people aren't even in the business anymore. And so if I just depended on the 15 or 20 people that I met when I first started hanging a shingle out and playing good and being cool, then I might not get any work now. And a long time ago, I saw the importance of the internet and what it could do for someone who wanted to, thanks to technology, reach out to people that weren't in their locale and offer services for those people that didn't necessarily live in and around you. You couldn't just get in your car and drive to them. I did a drum session for somebody the other day that lives completely across the country. I've done sessions for people in Europe. I've done sessions for people in Asia. I've done sessions for people in most of the continents, except for Antarctica. I'm waiting for somebody in Antarctica to send me a song to play on. But these are people that I've never met in person or never talked to in person in some cases. One of the drum tracks I did last week, we never actually talked to each other. And all I did was got an email asking if I would play on something They sent me a demo of the song to make sure that it was something I would want to play on, that I felt like I'd do a good job on. And we did everything via email. And once I sent them an invoice, I emailed them an invoice, and they paid through my payment gateway. And sending files to them, all that stuff. It's completely that sort of white glove type of service is done virtually now. Used to, you would have to go somewhere and actually be at someone's studio with people. But thanks to the internet and thanks to the ability to be able to market what I do and spread I call it evangelism. I come from I was a church kid growing up, and we did all kind of evangelism back then. And really that word evangelism just means spreading the good news. That's all it is. And so for me, I look at myself as an evangelist for the services and now some of the products that I offer. And so the importance of that brand, a brand is not just a logo or a kitschy kind of name. A brand is a promise that you make to people so that when they think of that brand, in my case, it's the Brian Stevens. When they think of that thing, they think about the promise that they know that you're making them. And in my case, I hope that people realize the promise that I put forth with the products and the services that I offer are, number one, I take my work very, very seriously, and I want to provide the absolute best service that I can with the Session Ace products. That's a great example of trying to provide the best products that I could possibly provide to people, products that I believe in so much that I use them every day. But going back to the services, whether it's playing drums live for someone or doing a drum track here in the studio, I want people to know that I take that incredibly seriously. I really want to get inside of that music and do the best job that I can do for someone so that hopefully I elevate whatever we're doing to a whole other level, musically and emotionally and sonically. That's part of the promise that I'm making with my brand, is that I'm making an effort to do those things for every single person that I work for, every single person I work with. At the same time, I don't take myself all that seriously. I know you might think that I do because I set up a camera and some lights and try to make a nice little video for you that wasn't just off of my phone. I really did put a little bit of effort into making this video for you today. But I don't take myself all that seriously. So it makes it a little easier to just hang and just kind of be who I am and let you be who you are. For the people that I interact with in person, here in the studio, at other studios, or on the gig, we talked about being cool. I try and be a cool hang, or at least be somebody that you want to sit and have a beer with, or if you don't drink, have a Starbucks with. Somebody that you want to have a conversation with, hang out for a while. So that is part of the brand too. Just someone that you would feel comfortable just sitting and having a chat with, and someone that you can relate to, somebody that understands you and really meets you where you're at. That's part of the promise of my brand. So we can make really cool stuff, make really great music, and be really serious about that. Not be so serious about ourselves necessarily, so that everybody can kind of relax and be a good hang. But plus all those other things that are sort of table stakes at this point, like show up on time, show up with the gear and the tools that you need to do the job well. You would not want a plumber who showed up with no pipe wrench, right? Or showed up with the wrong tools, like he had a bunch of electrician tools to try and fix your sink. No, part of the promise of my brand is that I'm going to show up on time with the right tools to do the job and the knowledge and experience to get it done for you the best I can possibly do it for you. And think about all those for a second. What's the other one? Oh. Really do it with a lot of care. Really care about the thing that I'm doing. I really put a lot of thought into it. I really put a lot of myself into it, so that we can establish some kind of rapport and make something that has some energy to it, something that has something that moves people. And so those are definitely the promises of my. Say what you're gonna, do what you're gonna say, what you're gonna do, and do what you say. That's part of the brand, I guess, too. Like, do what you say you're gonna do. So if I'm gonna show up on time and I'm gonna learn your songs and I'm gonna play them very well, and I'm gonna look engaged, and I'm gonna make sure that I'm engaging with everybody on stage and engaging with the audience, engaging with the music. Or if we're in the studio, really engaging with the artist, engaging with the engineer, engaging with the producer, engaging with the other musicians, engaging with the music that I'm hearing in my ears. Like, that's part of the brand. So what does it mean to be the Brian Stevens? Well, that's the promise. That branding is the promise that I'm making for everybody that chooses to hire me. And I don't promise. Kenny Aronoff has a thing where not to throw shade on Kenny Aronoff at all. Please don't misunderstand what I'm about to say. But he talks about the job of a great session drummer is to make hit songs. Play those grooves that make a song a hit. I don't necessarily believe that. I do think that, like, as a session drummer, my job one is to make the feel of the music, the pocket, the groove, whatever that style of music is, whatever that song is, make it feel infectious. So whether it makes you want to kind of move or dance or tap your foot or clap or snap or do whatever, or just bob your head. Or the other effect, there's the recycle truck again, come back the other direction, or provides such a strong emotional base for all of those other musicians to stack their parts on top of. That, to me, is the job of a great session musician. Because, believe me, I've played on a lot of songs that were not hits. But my hope is that the drums felt great, like the grooves were great, the fills were appropriate for the song, they helped push the arrangement along and outline the form. They interacted with the other music that was happening in and around the drums, so that we just elevate the entire thing. To me, that's the job of a great musician. Playing something that emotionally matches the tone of the song. If it's a sad song, I'm going to play sad. If it's a happy song, I'm going to play happy. If it's an angry song, I sure know how to play angry, boy. I think that's where most of my anger goes these days, is right into the song. So that really is it to me. So I am incredibly honored that wonderful, cool guys like David and Paul and anybody else that pays attention to what I do, that they pay attention, they engage it, and that they engage me about the stuff that I do. But there's a whole other level to that I hope that everybody understands. And I think it's important. It's important if you're going to build a career, and especially in this business, to understand that when it comes to being a musician, that this is a service business. And unless I'm playing the song that I wrote, then this is not about me. This really is about the music that I'm playing and the people I'm playing it with and the people that I'm playing it for. It is not about me at all. So if I disappear, I'm okay with that. If you could hear a track that I played on and go, that's Brian Stevens. Like, I do that with Vinny Colaiuta all the time. I can tell when Vinny plays on a track within the first couple of bars. He just has a sound. Picaro is the same way. Gadd, same way. They all have something very special and very singular about the way they play. hopefully I'll find that at some point. I don't really know that I have, because my job has always been to be a sonic chameleon, to really blend into the landscape of the song, to blend into the brush, basically, you know, and be a part of whatever environment that I'm in. And so I don't know that my playing necessarily makes me stand out. Maybe one day it will. I don't know. But that's not the point. That's never the point. And the only reason brand is important to me in terms of standing out is you've got to differentiate who you are from everybody else that does what you do. You have to find some way to be able to kind of package it a little bit and quantify it, and when people hear whatever that is, when they hear your name, that they think about all those promises that are associated with your name and your brand. The same goes for products. Same goes for so many different kinds of things when we're talking about brand. It really is the promise that you're making someone and what they can expect when they do business with you. That's the other reason why I started putting the Brian Stevens in front of my name a lot of times on most things that you see now, because I think it differentiates the services that I offer from the person that I am in some ways, because not that I'm a different person at work than I am at home, but there's definitely a different level of engagement. Like if you were to hang out at my house, I may not be engaging at all. We may sit and watch a ball game or something on the TV and drink a beer, and that's it. We may sit on my front porch and just sit and talk, and there's not any of this energy. It's just very low key and very chill. You know, who you are, who I am as just plain old Brian Stevens, is probably a lot more chill than the Brian Stevens. Or I used to call it BrianStevens.com. I actually used to, just to myself, you know, like, it's time to be BrianStevens.com, man. Get out there and go play the show. But that's the brand. That's the promise that I'm making. The only promise that I'm making when I'm not working is we'll probably have a beer at some point, and we'll definitely have a laugh, and that includes the work life too. But it's definitely on a lot more kind of a chill basis. So anyway, I hope that answers your question. Hope you like that warm up. Trying to use that warm up to open up what your hands can do. Make sure you play some nice clean flams in there, nice clean consistent flams, and don't worry about speed. Speed comes over time, and to be honest with you, some of the coolest stuff I've ever heard was not the fastest. So that's all I got for you. I got a student's about to show up, so we'll wrap this one up for today. Thanks so much for watching. Thanks for spending time with me, hanging out with me. I hope you like these videos. If you do, make sure you give it a thumbs up and like this on whatever platform you're watching on. If you're on YouTube, make sure you hit that subscribe button. And please, wherever you see this video, leave a comment below. Part of this is to have a conversation. And I want to engage with you. I want to talk with you. I talk to you about stuff. Talk with you about all the different things that are involved in this life of playing music. So thanks so much for hanging out. And until next time, be awesome to yourself. Extra awesome to everybody that you meet. Until next time, I'll see you when I see you. Thanks so much.